Hello, Laverne here, and thank you for joining me. This video is one that's a response video to one made by a man named Converted to Islam. Now, he says that he was a one-time Christian who has now converted over to Islam, and he's making videos refuting Christianity, refuting things such as Christ being God. And that's what he's done in this video here. And the reason he is saying that Christ cannot be God is because he was tempted by the devil. And the fact that he was tempted means that he can't be God. And he's basing this on a passage from James. Now, in his video, at the 42nd mark, he asked this question. Can he, meaning God, be tempted into doing evil sin? And I want to make it clear here that what he's asking. Can he be tempted into doing evil sin? And I think that's very important. For in this question, it's clear that he understands what being tempted means. But then, 15 seconds later, he says he wants to clarify that he's not talking about actually doing the sin. He wants to make it clear that he's talking about the simple act of being tempted, and that if God is tempted, then this means he can't be God. Or if someone is tempted, it means they can't be God. Now, what he does is he goes to James, and I'm going to read the passage that he refers to. It's James 1, verse 13, and it reads, "And remember, when you are being tempted, do not say, 'God is tempting me.' God is never tempted to do wrong, and he never tempts anyone else. Temptation comes from our own desires, which entice us and drag us away. These desires give birth to sinful actions, and when sin is allowed to grow, it gives birth to death." Now, when we take it in context, it is obvious that James is talking about sin and us, and what it is that actually causes us to sin. That it is our own desires. These are the things that are responsible for us sinning. Now, what he does is he then goes to Matthew, and he talks about the devil tempting Jesus. And then he says, because James tells us that God can't be tempted, and then because Jesus is tempted by the devil, this means he can't be God. But this is a total taking out of context of what it means to be tempted. Can we have things placed before us to tempt us? Yes. That means that those things are temptations and they are placed before us. But are we really tempted to do them? That's the question. And whether or not we are tempted to do them comes from our desires, comes from our heart condition. God is never tempted to do wrong. Why? Because of his heart condition. Because his heart condition is one of righteousness and holiness and good. And so this is why God cannot be tempted into doing wrong. And this is why Jesus never committed any sins. Because of his heart condition, because of the desires in his heart, he was never tempted to do wrong. And he never sinned. Now, were there things placed before him? Were there opportunities and options placed before him? Absolutely. Did he come in contact with beautiful women? Without question. Did he have an opportunity to steal or to make money off of his ministry? Absolutely. Did he have opportunities to do all kinds of other things? I mean, when we look at the things that the devil placed before him, certainly he had opportunities and options. So he was tempted in that way. But he was not truly tempted because his heart condition was such that he would not be tempted. So this is what we need to do, is to have this in the proper context. And I believe that Converted to Islam probably knows this, but he purposely takes it out of context. Tries to twist it around to meaning something totally different. Now, another thing I want to talk about, he goes on to then say, Why would we want to serve a God who could be tempted? Who could be tempted by women, who could be tempted to, to do different things that we are. Why would we want to serve a God that is that weak? Why would we want to serve a God that would be allowed to be taken from the devil from place to place? Well, there's a very good reason for it. Because this God, he emptied himself of his divinity so that he could become fully human. This is why we are told that he was fully human and fully God. And it's because he emptied himself of his divinity. For to do anything less means he would not have been fully man. He would have been something totally different. The only way to be fully man is to have all the weaknesses and all the problems that come with being man. And the only way to do that was for Jesus to empty himself of his divinity. And it is the only reason why there is any weight and any meaning to the fact that he lived a sinless life. To have done so, being filled with the divinity of a God, of God, would have been meaningless to have lived a sinless life. This is why he was able to defeat Satan, because he did it while being fully man. So, would I want to serve somebody like this? Converted to Islam asks, why would we want to serve somebody like this? I would want to serve a God like this because he emptied himself of his divinity. He took the form that I live in, and he suffered the same things that I suffer. He went through the same temptations, the same kind of things that were offered to him are offered to me. The same betrayals that he went through, I go through, have gone through. And he went through those things. The beatings that he took, being hung on the cross, even though at any time he could have taken back those powers of the fullness of that divinity, and yet he did not. And the worst part, or I should say the best part, is when he paid the ransom for me, he took on the wrath of God. So he did what I could not do. Would I want to serve somebody like that? Is that the kind of God I want to serve? Absolutely, without question. All right, I think I've covered all the points I wanted to. Yeah, that's about it. So my question is, I guess, my question is the same question as what he asked. Would you want to serve a God like this? All right, till next time, peace and blessings.